Hi everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of a new series for Bad Movie, Bad Review, where we take a closer look at the often forgotten aspects of the worst movies ever made, their DVD special features. In today's episode, we take a closer look at what goodies come packed with the current commercially available DVD release of quite possibly the worst thing to come out the back end of Mariah Carey. That's right, glitter. No, not that glitter. Or that. Glitter! Glitter was a 2001 romantic musical starring the now aging crooner herself, and can be fairly well summed up as being one of the most notorious misfires in the history of ill-informed pop star to film star transition vanity projects.
I'm the bull. You're the cow.
Glitter genuinely isn't a film that was received very well by anyone at all, really, for numerous reasons, some of which we may well cover during this expose of Glitter's DVD special features, but in case you require a broad idea as to the quality and tone of Glitter, it was nominated in 6 separate categories at the 2002 Razzies for awards including Worst Film, Worst Actress, which Mariah Carey won, and Worst On-Screen Couple for Mariah Carey's cleavage. More on those in a moment. But before diving straight into whatever painful offerings this DVD's special features may indeed have, I should probably confess. No, I have never actually watched an unedited version of Glitter, and no, I never intend to. Therefore, before drowning in a glittery abyss, I actually knew very little about the film itself, other than everyone who has seen it thinks it's dog shit. That, and it obviously stars Mariah Carey, and despite being rated PG, would most likely be filled with scene after scene of Mariah Carey mentally masturbating herself with her ego, and making a soggy wet mess out of her own sense of self-importance. What I was certain of though, after performing the obligatory digging through Mariah Carey related search results, is that Glitter didn't altogether perform very well at the box office, and its accompanying album, also called Glitter, wasn't exactly Album of the Year material either. You could hazard a guess and say that the reason for this is because both of these works were designed to appeal to pretty much no one other than 10-year-old girls with soon-to-be permanently damaged self-esteem and Mariah Carey, which is a tad incongruous, given how what little I had seen of the film through its trailer appeared to be nothing more than a vehicle for Mariah Carey's tits, much like Mariah Carey herself. But should this have been accurate, it obviously would have spawned numerous sequels and TV spin-offs starring all her subsequent breast implants, but as most of us already know, Glitter promptly ended any hope of Mariah Carey being famous for anything other than ruining Christmas.
Добрый день. Продолжаем нашу передачу. В 16 часов 55 минут начнется передача «Детский час» с уроком французского языка и русского.
The only thing more unhinged than her ever-increasingly decrepit vocal range is Mariah Carey herself.
The problem is, if you don't have ice cream in your life, sometimes you just might go a little bit crazy.
And that's a metaphor for a lot more,
You guys
I'm
like my shirt?
And her habit of blaming the less than stellar aspects of her career on wildly unrelated people, places, things, and events. And Glitter was no different. Of course, most people thought that Glitter was a steaming bag of shit, mostly because that's precisely what it was, but Mariah Carey herself had some other ideas about the true reason Glitter sank like a bag full of unwanted kittens. So where precisely did Mariah Carey lay the blame? Here's a clue. It wasn't an earthquake, a race riot, or Ebola. What on earth could it have been? Yes, Mariah Carey herself twice, had the f***ing temerity to blame the poor performance of both her shitty film and its shitty accompanying album on, you guessed it, 9/11. Therefore, I think you can all join me in calling her a wizened, old, cosmetically altered walking glory hole for being such an insensitive ass. I mean, seriously now, 9/11? That's offensive. What on earth could possess her to use such an abhorrent and careless excuse as...
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh, she may have had a point. Yep, I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, that most people might have been a little preoccupied with other things around that time to have gone to see her film, and I'm fairly certain that no one was watching the news that day and thought, you know what, all these wacky hijinks need a theme tune. Back in a minute while I go and buy Mariah Carey's new album Glitter. If I'm quick, we might make it through to track number 5, Don't Stop Funkin' for Jamaica, before the second hour collapses. Of course, going to the cinema to see Glitter would have been the perfect way to forget about how the terrorists had pancaked half of Manhattan, except I seem to remember there being somewhat of a mantra of never forget, which for once makes nationalistic jingoism a benefit to mankind, should it have partially contributed to Glitter's chances of a sequel. In fact, the tone of Mariah Carey's comments with regard to Glitter's relationship with 9/11 reveal what I believe is some lingering animosity, most likely born of a jealous rage from knowing that the worst terrorist attack in US history is remembered more fondly than she is.
Напомню телезрителям, что по правилам, определенным областной избирательной комиссией, каждый кандидат имеет право для обращения к избирателям использовать 3 минуты телевизионного эфирного времени. Свой агитационный видеоматериал предлагает вниманию телезрителей кандидат в депутаты Волгоградской областной думы Анатолий Викторович Черенков.
Okay, so I may have known more about the circumstances surrounding Glitter's unfortunate release date than I did about the actual film itself, but I was quite content with my own abject ignorance with regard to Glitter, and was more than happy to protect it, except the special features of her now infamously frowned upon magnum opus contain very little outside of a director's commentary, which would of course require that I sit through not only the film itself, but also what I assumed would be 90 minutes of its director apologising profusely for wasting the $22 million it took to make it. But I did mention that there is very little else on this DVD's special features, which isn't nothing. So let's take a look at the almost nothing first. Music videos! Featuring more Mariah Careys than any music video has any business including. This particular video for the song Loverboy also seems to highlight Mariah Carey's willingness to flaunt her collection of children's clothes, and of course her own boobs. But honestly, considering her fondness for partially exposing herself, it's a wonder the entire thing wasn't just 3 minutes of musty ventriloquist camel toe. But aside from all the visual excitement, there was also lots of bizarre mumbling, lots of not quite suggestive sex talk, and lurid behaviour, all smeared liberally over a 90s drum machine and a used pack of audio samples, which to be fair was the typical Mariah Carey music video after she realised that the outright sexualising of herself was the only option left once the late 90s had happened, and it became clear that all those wholesome girls next door were in fact nymphos. Case in point, the only use this image would have had after the invention of the internet was as the Pornhub thumbnail.
В эфире итоги недели. Я Глеб Пьяных. Здравствуйте.
The only other music video present was lazily torn straight out of the film. So needless to say, I didn't watch it. Which means it's now time for film trailers. Including, unsurprisingly, a trailer on the DVD for Glitter itself. Which is as pointless here as it is with every single other DVD containing a trailer for its own f***ing film. There is also a trailer for a movie called Center Stage, which I feel confident in guessing is a pile of risible muck about the relationship drivel of some bally-dancing twit and her 50-foot-tall mechazoid best friend. So far, everything is shit. Thank goodness we have Filmographies, which was an unexpected inclusion to things, yet managed to be just as irritating and pointless as anything else so far, given how all it comprises of are a list of other works by Mariah Carey, the director, and the 2 other most notable nobodies that feature in the movie. Under Eric Bennett's filmography, for example, there lists something called True to Myself, which Google then led me to yet another music video. Nope. We also have the filmography of one Max Beasley, which dutifully informs us that he once appeared in something called It Was an Accident, which is foreshadowing on an epic scale, given the eventual resting place of his career. So far, so bad. In fact, the only thing worth the 50p I paid for this DVD is the mesmerising sparkle wormhole that leads into that portion of the DVD menu. So after once again questioning why I do this kind of thing to myself at 2:30 AM, and with no other special features to keep putting off the inevitable, I fired up the Director's Commentary to find out just exactly what the director had to say for himself.
Hi, I'm Vondi Curtis Hall. I'm the director of Glitter. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the making of this film.
Lillian,
Well, that's not exactly a vigorous opening, Mr. Von B. Curtis Hall. Anyone would think that being paid in crates full of mouldy vegetable produce has dampened your enthusiasm for recording special features. But by all means, please continue.
She is your child.
This is a scene that Mariah really wanted in the picture.
Insightful, and well worth my time, Mr. Director. Oh wait, no it isn't, considering that 85% of Von D. Curtis Hall's glitter commentary track was comprised of him gibbering as slowly and indecisively as his spoon-fed temporal lobe would allow.
The voice in this scene was done by
Oh, Jesus. So to prove the point, and to demonstrate how I am in desperate need of a proper f***ing hobby, here are some clips of the Von D. Curtis Hall glitter commentary track.
You know, the editing of this movie was really was a long and arduous process.
And I suppose you're wondering how he ends this commentary. Well, the only way a complete f***ing wank job would, of course.
Where though there has been loss, there's new beginning. Though there's been loss, there's now hope. And ultimately, you're never too far away.
Right. Now that that's out of the way, I feel I can finally confirm that the only thing more excruciating than watching glitter is watching glitter whilst listening to the man who career exsanguinated himself whilst making it stammer and his way through all 104 minutes of the film version of whatever the f*** the opposite of attention deficit disorder is. And no, I didn't edit this to make him sound specifically drearier than he actually is. Here's proof.
This type of complexity with regard to music and where the music actually drove the narrative, and the clubs and the concerts in our well, that'll come up soon, but the notion of this this scene here where we have two people who essentially writing the same song.
Oh, Jesus Christ! At no point did this sultry even sound remotely enthusiastic about any of what he was clearly being forced into mumbling by 20th Century Fox executives who had obviously tied several contractually complicated knots around his upper testicles and placed guns to the heads of his terrified wife and kids. And why should he? At the time of recording, Von D. Curtis Hall was most likely living under a bridge with a permanent protein aftertaste, with nothing to comfort him other than the haunting memories of how promising his career was before George Bush blew up the Twin Towers. The fact that he doesn't say anything during the 104 minutes of melancholic stammering that is even remotely interesting is an absolute milestone of human achievement. His voice was so f***ing monotonous. The topics he drearily mumbled his way through were so spectacularly pointless. And the imagery I was made to f***ing stare at for the last 3 evenings was so jam-packed full of Mariah Carey's stupid f***ing face that I'm sure I now have a hernia. But there is surely something that plodding f***tard of a director has been involved in that is in some way worth my time. Well, of course there is. It's a YouTube video of Vondie Curtis Hall receiving a happy ending from an old asthmatic Vietnamese woman, and it was infinitely more interesting than listening to him talk about f***ing glitter!
Media journalist.
Vondie Curtis Hall, Mariah Carey, f*** you both. Look at the film you made and hang your heads in shame. Just for the love of God, please don't try and sneak back into Hollywood through the sewers and steal some camera equipment while no one's looking, as the fact of the matter is that Glitter was the absolute best film that either one of you were capable of making, and despite Muhammad Atta and the rest of the gang doing their best to protect us, people f***ing noticed! Swirly menu thing. Everything involving him. So everything.